Hello guys, thank you for joining us on this new webinar from eCore. As usual, I'm Fernando Horn. I'll be the presenter of this new topic and this new theme that can use it and how we can improve it, your cloud instance, and how I can share with you and how I can bring to you some experience on simplify Agile and Scale with Jira Cloud and the key apps on the marketplace that can use it to help you on this journey. Okay, so thank you for joining again. I will be presenting some topics here, some slides here, and in parallel, I will do some presentations directly on Jira Cloud. So will be nice because I'll be showing some concepts, showing some introduction about our topics, and after that, I will show directly on the tool what is the benefits, how we can use the new projects in Jira Cloud, and how we can start the journey, like I said, to scale Agile in your company or your team and etc. Okay, so this is our main idea here today. Let me start. So simplify, Agile, and scale with Jira Cloud and Key apps. So today we are talking about Jira Cloud. So our main focus will be Jira Cloud because we always are working with Jira Server or server products, but let's start a new phase of Atlassian products and let's start to focus more on cloud. So our main idea here on this webinar is to show how can use better Jira Cloud for your Agile development perspective, and as well how can use these new features to scale. Okay, so again, I'm Fernando Horn. I'm the technical leader of Atlassian team. So all the service that we provide to Atlassian with Atlassian products and how we can use products of Atlassian and how we can improve your company. I'm the tech lead to help you guys and help the internal team to deliver the projects and deliver the new experience for you. So this is why I'm working on the webinars. I really like to share some experience. Has been 10 years working with Atlassian, working at eCore. So I believe I have a lot of experience to share with you guys. So at the end of this webinar, you'll see that we will have a question and answers on Q&A, and we can answer some questions from your side as well. And I will share my email, so feel free to reach me out if you have any questions or if you want to start a new discussion about Atlassian projects. So let's start with our agenda. So working with cloud, we are talking about Jira Cloud, directly for Jira Cloud, how we can use Jira Cloud with next-gen projects, with classic projects, and etc. But I want to show an overview about Atlassian Cloud. So what is the main focus of Atlassian for the next features, for the next months, years, how they are planning to use the Atlassian stack, and how they are planning to improve the usability of these tools. So the idea about Atlassian Cloud overview is to understand the concepts of cloud. Okay. After that, we will start to take a look on the next gen project. So now it will be really, really nice to understand this new type of project in Jira. So is it a new project? It's different from the usual projects from Jira. So the idea about this topic is to compare the classic project with the new next gen project and how we can use it to improve your usability in Jira. Okay. The next step is, okay, we are using the next gen project. We are starting to use the Jira. How we can go to the next step and start to scale Agile with cloud, with Jira Cloud. So we will have two phases to scale Agile in your company. The first one is to using next gen projects, and the second one is to using the classic. So the idea here is to show you guys how we can do that. So how we can use the best practice of Jira of Atlassian. And from eCore as well, we have a guide. I will show to you a guide that we have created here internally and can help you in the future as well. So it will be really nice to understand how we can do that, how we can improve it, and how we can scale Agile using the cloud products. And number four, uh, it's basically some suggestions from my side how we can use Jira with new apps or existing apps from the marketplace. So I want to share you my knowledge, so my suggestions about which apps, which plugins, and which uh, marketplace vendors we can use it and we can trust. So this is more a topic that, okay, we are scaling Agile, and I want to share with you more knowledge and more options to use it on your company. Okay? So let me show to you. Sorry, I was talking about the agenda and I'm not showing the agenda. Sorry about that, guys. Uh, okay, so this is our agenda: Atlassian Cloud overview, Jira Next Gen projects, scale Agile with cloud, extending Jira with apps, and Q&A. So this is the moment that I can answer all your questions and I can help you in the future. If you have more questions or not, feel free to reach me out and I can help. Okay, so let's start our journey. But before that, I want to show some information about eCore. So it's really to understand that eCore it's a platinum solution partner. But our main job here, our main idea and our expectation from the customer side, it's not only to implement Atlassian. So we are experts from Atlassian tools, but we want to improve your process. We want to improve your company using the Atlassian products, not only to implement that, but let's work on the process. So this is why we are talking about how we can scale Agile using Atlassian products. So to scale Agile, or at least to start to using Agile, we need to focus on the process. So we have three main pillars here. We have the culture of your company, the practices that we are using to implement Agile or start Agile, and after that we have the tools. So eCore have experience to work on these three main pillars of your company and for the usual process that we have it. So we are here to help you guys from the process perspective, from the tool perspective, from the training perspective, from the support perspective. So eCore, it's helping the companies and the enterprise company to have more experience and improving their usability of their process using the Atlassian tools and integrating the teams to working together. Okay, so this is the idea about eCore, platinum solution partner, like I said, training partner from Atlassian. We live Atlassian at eCore, but we want to improve your company as a whole, not only with Atlassian products. So this is the main idea about eCore. Just a few surveys because I'm saying that, okay, we want to improve it, we want to share the knowledge, but what we really do to help your company. So we work on the license as well and consulting and deployment. So if you are uh, getting some expertise, not only from the tools, like I said, the consulting type, it's the best one for you, for your business team. Okay, we have a support as well. Not only the support from Atlassian, we have the support from eCore that can help you on the daily activities and can help you to support your application and your teams as well. So we are not only a support to solve bug or any issues from your system. We are here to help you and support proactive to bring more innovation to your company. Training, like I said, and migration as well, because the new challenge of Jira is, for example, to move from server to cloud, move to cloud from server, data center to cloud, and etc. So we have this expertise to move and migrate the data between different offers of Atlassian, and we can migrate from third-party tools as well. If you want to migrate from different tools, different service desk tools, different agile tools, we can move to Jira, we can move to Confluence, to all the tools that Atlassian provides service. So this is the main idea about our service. This is a good opportunity to understand our location. So I'm the tech lead of the entire team, so I'm working in a global environment. I'm located here in White Plains, New York, but we have office in Brazil as well, Porto Alegre and São Paulo, and Mexico. So we have 3 different countries, 3 different regions to get more experience and bring more experience on this on America. So we are working on the whole America to bring and solve your solutions and work with innovation as well. Okay, so we are a huge company. Some numbers at from eCore, but we are talking about only this year, 2019. It's not for the whole company, it's only for this year. So some public numbers that we can share with you. More than 200 customers, 29,000 project hours. So we are working with projects, dedicating hours for this project. More than 75 people working with Atlassian service. It's not the whole company, it's a specific area at eCore that we work with Atlassian service, and we have more than 75 people working directly to solve your issues, to bring innovation to your company and work directly with you. We have 46 Atlassian certifications. So we have the certification from Atlassian. It's something that we really want, and we really think that it's a great opportunity to share with the customer and with Atlassian our knowledge. So we have the certifications, we have the 9 of 10 from the customer satisfaction rate, and we have more than 12 years from Atlassian partner, working with Atlassian, working to provide service from Atlassian products. So this is just some numbers. I know it's more from the concepts, it's more for create knowledge about eCore, and now you can understand how we can help your company and how we can help to provide a better service and what we can do to help you as well, based on your requirements and based on your necessity as well. Okay, so now let's start the real work here on this webinar. So let's start our journey to use cloud and scale cloud on your company. Okay, so basically just an overview about Atlassian Cloud. So at least from an Atlassian side, we have 3 different deployment offers. We have server, we have cloud, and we have data center. So the initial step of Atlassian was work on the server environment, the on-premise, the SaaS environment. So this was the first release from the Atlassian perspective. Forwarding the next steps, they start to work with cloud. So cloud is the future, right? So cloud is the main idea about deployments, about servers, AWS, Azure servers, and why not starting to work with the tools perspective as well. So Atlassian started to work on the cloud environment as well. Okay, so after that, they really saw the necessity to scale the on-premise offer to data center, or at least to have a better ability about performance, how to scale the servers and the information from this on-premise and SaaS information, and they created the data center. So we have performance at scale, we have disaster recovery, so we have different environments working on the same database, so we can avoid some issues in the enterprise company. If the Jira, Confluence, or other Atlassian tools, it's important for your company, and it's critical and it's crucial to be up. Okay? But today, let's focus on cloud. So, cloud, from my perspective, and receiving some feedbacks from Atlassian, from events from Atlassian Summit this year, cloud will be the main focus of Atlassian. So if you are planning to start to use Atlassian, our main suggestion is to start with cloud because it's the most simple option from Atlassian, and we have a great power to work with cloud. So you can scale with confidence. So this is how Atlassian can work and can provide service for you. Okay, so this is some specific environment that Atlassian is building, and they are providing service for you. Okay, so this is their instance, their environment, their infrastructure. So scale with confidence. Grow smart with complete visibility and control. So it's a great tool from the cloud perspective. So they are focused on new features in cloud. So they will be basically improving year by year, month by month, with new features, with new functionalities of cloud. So they can grow smart, and your company can be as well, because we are receiving new features, we are receiving new functionalities. They can help you as well. Okay, and secure and protect. So this is something really important because we are receiving a lot of requests from the customer based on the security about the data, what is the compliance from Atlassian. So we have different, and we have a lot of compliance rules that Atlassian is providing, and is following. So if you need some additional information about any support, or at least any rules, or any information that you need to save your information in cloud, we can provide the best option and the best answers for you guys. So you can contact us. We can share some information from cloud, at least from the security. But I can at least say to you guys that it's really interesting how Atlassian is working to provide the best options for you guys. So it's really important, and you can trust me, it's safe. So to use cloud, it's safe. We are receiving support from Atlassian every time, so it's really, really awesome. Okay, so bringing these three main topics of cloud, deployment, the new features, and the security as well, I want to share with you, like I said, the Atlassian strategy, it's cloud. The first option will be cloud. So I know we started with on-premise server option, we go forward to cloud, and started to use a data center. So now, from this year, probably next years, or at least from the Atlassian strategy, cloud will be the first option to improve it and bring new features and bring new experience to user for your users. Okay, so this is the idea about cloud in the Atlassian perspective. The second one is data center. So they are saying that if you are using a server environment, if you are using an on-premise environment, probably it's crucial to be up, and it's really important to be effective, that it will not receive any issues, or we are receiving the best support from the company, or at least from Atlassian. So data center will be the first option to use on your own environment. Okay, so if you want to deploy the solution on your own environment, the first option from the Atlassian strategy will be data center. Okay, so you can have one node, you can have two nodes, but in the future, we will have difference between data center and server, specifically some features that we can have from the performance side. So how we can archive projects, how we can archive issues. So all these features, for example, will be starting data center, and they will verify and check if they will affect the performance. If not, they can go forward and move to server these features. If not, they will keep on data center. Okay, so this is more from the perspective and the strategy of Atlassian, that we can use cloud first, data center, and after server. Okay, but let's focus on cloud. So I want to share my perspective from cloud, because I started to use cloud uh, long years ago, and after the server. So I started my journey using Atlassian with server, and cloud started, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years after that, and I started to use cloud. I was really not comfortable with cloud because it's a different solution, but now I can say that I was wrong, because it's perfect to start your journey using Atlassian and using Jira. So I'm really excited to work with cloud and share your experience with cloud and my experience with cloud, because they are improving that. So they are creating new features like next gen project, for example. So this is our first option, our first action here with this new feature of Jira, next gen project. So you remember that we have the classic projects and now we have the next gen projects. So if you are using Jira or Jira software, Jira Core, at least Jira software at this moment, you know the classic projects, the projects that we are creating in Jira. We have many options, it's powerful, we can create different configurations for these projects, different schemes, but sometimes can be a nightmare because we have a lot of configurations. And now next gen projects, it's easy to start to use this project. So it's fast setup, easy to configure, it's user friendly. So it's quickly, it's faster to use Jira with the next gen project. So this is my suggestion if you want to start to use Jira right now, or at least if you are starting to use Agile right now, for example, Scrum or something like that, you can use the Next-Gen project. This is my recommendation for you guys. I'm really excited to use Next-Gen projects because we can configure the project faster, we can deliver value for our company faster, and we can start to use agile methodology. So we can use and we can have more information with next-gen projects for your company if you are not an expert from Jira, if you are not an expert to configure all that schemes and etc. So Atlassian is helping the teams to have opportunity to create a Jira instance, configure Jira instance to bring more innovation to your company. And we are here to help you as well, because it's not an issue for eCore, for example, or for me to have a next-gen project, because the idea about next-gen project, it's process as well. We have small configurations, it's faster to configure, it's easy to configure, but to have process as well. So we are here to help you as well on next-gen project, okay? But this is the main features that we have with next-gen project. So the teams can create and configure their own project. So it's not necessary anymore to contact the admin side, to open a request for your Jira admin to create a new project, to start a new configuration. So the teams and the people can create new projects in Jira. And this project no will be affect the existing projects or other next-gen projects. You can select your issue types, workflows, the fields that will show on the field layout, create new fields, and more and more. We have more options on next-gen projects. So as you can see, we have the same structure of the classic project, but we are creating the configuration on the next gen project, on your specific project. So this will not affect the performance, this will not affect other users, and this can be helpful for your teams, or at least to have some independency to create a new project. That we always receive some requests from the customer that, okay, can you create different projects? Do you need to be a Jira admin to create a project? Or can we have different roles? So with next-gen projects, your team can create new projects. Okay,
You can manage the access and permissions as well, so you can provide access to your project as usual. You can define what you use in your project. So this is, I believe, from my perspective, the most important feature for a next-gen project, because it's one project, and inside of this project, you can select if you want a Kanban, a backlog, if you want to use the sprints, if you want additional reports, and if you want to use the roadmap version. Okay, so it's perfect because you can select and you can just click and select what you want. And if you in the future want to enable one specific functionality of your next gen project, you can do that. So it's perfect as well. Okay. Like I said, the next gen project, all the configurations only apply to that specific project. It's not for the whole system, for the whole Jira. So you can provide support project by project. It's not necessary to provide support to the entire instance of Jira, or you need to be careful to change some configuration that can affect other projects and etc. No, all the configuration will affect only this project. Okay, like I said, we won't affect other projects, right? This is perfect in my opinion, because uh, from the consulting perspective, we receive a lot of issues, or we can work on a health check on the customer environments because they are creating a lot of configuration. All the configuration is shared by the project, so it's not possible to configure a specific scenario for one specific project. So this can be a nightmare for your company, but as well, this is the power of classic projects, right? So now you have a second option that, okay, if it's a small project, it's a small team, or if I want to start to use Jira, NextGen can help you to configure this project. Okay? Okay, let's show to you guys, because I'm just talking about concepts, and I'm just did an introduction about NextGen project. So let me show to you. I have a cloud instance here. You can see my screen. So I have a cloud instance here, as you can see, and I have a dashboard project and another information here and other information here. But let's see the project. Okay, so let's access cloud and let's see the project here. Okay, so as usual, we have cloud and we can create different projects. Here we have our project list with software type and etc. Okay, I have two different projects here. The first one, the product development one, it's a next-gen project. And the second one, the scaled agile product development, it is a classic project. Okay, so how we can create next-gen projects? How we can create, for example, classic project? What is the difference, and how you can see, for example, the information about which project we are using. So if I'm click here on create project, you'll see that, okay, now we have the classic project and the next gen project. So this is your first step. So the classic project, it's the usual project of Jira. So now we have the classic project, but it's the usual project in Jira. And now we have the next gen project. It's the first option. It's the new option of Jira. Okay, so this is the first option that you need to discover from your company. Okay, let's work with more details, create more specific uh, workflow, more specific fields, issue types for our project, or can we start with the next gen project that it's faster and it's a small configuration that we need to do to start to use Jira. Okay, so this is my first tip for you. You can define which one you want to use. Okay, so if you create a new next-gen project, it's the same format. Okay, so we can create a new project. We can define who can access, or at least the access level, and the key as well. So this is a project creation, right? So if you are used to create a new project in Jira, or if it's a first time that we are creating, it's just project name, access, and key. This is the template. So if you want to select a specific template, Jira will create a specific options for you and will enable these options for you. After the creation of this new project, you can disable or you can enable as well the existing configuration. So this is just a template that Jira will help you to start to use Jira Next-Gen project, but after that you can disable or enable new features and new functionalities on Next-Gen project. So don't worry about the template, or at least the option that we are selecting here, because after the project creation, you can have more options to enable and disable what you need. Okay? So for example, let's access the product development here. So this is a project in Jira. So I'm using Scrum, I'm using Agile, so I'm starting to manage my project. So from default of Jira, we have backlog, we have board, report. So we have the same options from the classic project, but the interface and the options, it's better from the faster perspective. So if you are trying to use Jira better and faster, we'll see less options here. We'll see specific options for Next-Gen to not, for example, create some confusion for the user. So the idea of Next-Gen project is not only to provide new features, but it's to keep it simple. So we will not have all the features from the classic, and classic will not have all the features from Next-Gen. So each project type can have specific features. But from the Next-Gen perspective, the idea is to keep it simple with some additional features, and the classic is to have all the information that we have from Scrum, sprints, epics, and how we can scale Agile. But Next-Gen you can do everything as well, but you'll see that it's the screen and at least the option that we have, it's clean and you can see better the information here. Okay, so as you can see, here's the project. I have the sprint as well. I have sprint 1, 2, 3, so I can define my sprints. I can have my backlog. I can organize my story here. I can see the story points as well. I can create epics and I can associate to specific epics to have the same structure. So as you can see, it's the best option to have a clean view about your project, and we have, at least at this moment, the same functionalities of the classic project. Okay, our backlog and our Kanban board based on our sprints. Okay, but let's see the project settings. So in this case, you can see that it's different. So project settings, you see that you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 options here. If you are comparing with the classic project we have 8, 9 options to configure this project. From the Next-Gen perspective, the idea is to keep it simple. So it's not possible to configure all the project like a classic environment, but at least we can create a specific process or specific features or requirements from your company. Okay, so the first one is the details, the name, key, if I'm using category, and Jira, the access, it's private, open, limited, for example. Anyone can see but not work. Open, everyone can see and work, and private, it's only the users that I'm giving access in the second option, so it's people. So as you can see here, the biggest difference from people perspective and permission perspective is that we don't have any permission scheme on this project. We have just people. So the option is, okay, you are administrator, member, or viewer. So this is the 3 options that we have, because the idea, like I said, is to keep it simple. So this is simple, right? I'm just giving permission to this project, to this type of project. Okay, so administrator, member, and viewer. So this is the first option that we have. Okay, let's grant access to the project. So I have 2 users here, Fernando and John. Issue type. So now it's the first moment that we can start to configure our process here. So we have the issue types as well. But these issue types, we are not creating in Jira. So if I'm creating a new issue type here, I will create only on this project. Okay, so if I'm creating a new project, probably I need to create the new issue types again, right? So I have task here because I removed task before. I created task and I remove it from this environment, but they keep it here because they want to say to show to you that okay, you created task. But I can create issue types and will show only for this project. Okay, so this is the first option. I can organize my issue types. Okay, so I have issue types by project. So it's not necessary to create a scheme, configure the scheme associated to the project. So as you can see, it's a few steps and it's different from the classic project. Okay, so the idea here is, for example, if I have a classic project, I can share the configuration. So this is good. So I'm not saying that classic is terrible or we don't need any more to work on the classic. We have different scenarios. We have different requirements. At this moment, I'm working with the next gen. So I'm showing the benefits to work with next gen, but I really like to work with classic. My first option for an enterprise company, or at least to scale better your project, it's use classic. Okay, so this is our first option here. Let's use issue types. Let's create the issue type. So let's see the story issue type. So if I click here, I can see the existing fields that I can use it here, and I can create on the right side here new fields for this issue type. Again, I'm creating fields on this project on this issue type. I'm not creating global custom fields. I'm not creating additional fields that can affect my performance of the cloud instance. I'm creating just fields for this specific issue type on this project. So as you can see, I can configure the issue types and the fields that I want to create. Okay, so for example, short text, I can field name. So it's webinar reference, for example, description, default text, and that's it. Okay, so I have a new field here. I can just reorder my page or I can remove it from my screen. Okay, so I just created a new field. So we have description fields and the context field. Okay, because it's different. And I can, for example, move from other contexts here if you have the information correctly. Okay, so this is the idea about NextGen project from the issue types and fields. You can create issue types and you can create new custom fields as well. Okay, let's start with, again, we started with issue types and we started with custom fields. So we have the story, we have the fields here, and the next step from the classic perspective is to start to create workflows, for example. So as you can see, it's not possible to configure the workflow here. So we need to go back to the project here, sorry. We can go board, and to add new status to NextGen project is just to give a new column name, for example. And now I have a new status. So the status on this project, it's based on our board. Okay, so if you want to create new status, it's only on this board, and this will affect your existing issues and existing tasks that we have on the project. Okay, so now we created at least the initial structure of my project, issue types, fields, and boards as well. Okay, but let's follow the project settings here. How can use, for example, features? So now it's the biggest difference from classic to next-gen projects. Because here in features, you will see that, okay, in one specific project, it's possible to have backlog, sprints, reports, I need to estimate and have velocity by team. I can link with pages in Confluence, and I can have a roadmap. So if you want to create a next-gen project using Jira software and using Agile methodology, you can do that. If you want to create a next-gen project and you want just to keep it simple and track the progress of these tasks using a Kanban board, you can just show and remove the backlog and sprints, and you have a Kanban project. So this is awesome, right? So one specific project, you can create different views for you. And we have the roadmap. I will not show the roadmap right now because it's the next step to scale Agile using next-gen projects. But at least I started with backlog, sprint, so I'm seeing here that I'm an Agile team. So I want to manage my project with the Agile perspective. I want to track reports. I want to calculate the velocity of my team because I'm working with backlog and sprints. And I have pages as well. Okay, so let's go back to the project. As you can see, I have all my backlog here. I have my sprint. I can start the sprint, for example. I have the sprints here. I can create new epics, so I can have the options of epic. As you can see here, I have REST API, timesheet report, integration with Confluence. So I can create, for example, here on the product development, new story type, new bug, new epic, for example. So I can create epics as well. Okay, so it's the same structure, at least from the epic and story. And I can see the epic is here, and I can see which story it's belonging to a specific epic. And I can start my project, for example, my sprint. I can track my sprint progress here on the Kanban board. So it's the same process. So if you are an Agile team, you have all the functionalities here on the next-gen project. So this is how we can use Agile with the next-gen project. We have the backlog, we have the sprints, the in progress sprint, we have the next sprint, we can prioritize, we can estimate these stories, we can track, we can have just a few reports, for example, burn up, velocity report, and CFD, the cumulative flow diagram. So I can track the progress of my project, okay? So I can have different projects, right? And have pages. I can link different pages from Confluence and Jira as well. Planning Poker, it's just a suggestion that I want to show to you, but it's not a feature of Next-Gen. Okay, so the idea here was just to show to you that we have the same functionalities of the classic project from the board perspective to track the sprints, the backlog, the Kanban, some additional reports. So we can have the Agile methodology here with a Next-Gen project. And what is our next step? So let's go back to our presentation here. The next step is, okay, let's start to scale Agile. So we have Agile, we are Agile, we are going Agile, and we are working with Agile. So the next step is, okay, let's go ahead for the next level of the scale Agile. Okay, so we have two options, okay, before the guide that I want to show to you. The first one is, okay, let's use the Next-Gen project. So we can use Next-Gen project. So the first step is, okay, here I'm seeing the sprints, and I'm connecting stories to the sprints, but I want the next level. I want to connect with operational team, with the strategic team, for example. So the first option is, let's go to the project settings, features, and let's enable the roadmap option here. The roadmap option, it's specifically to the Next-Gen project, and if you want, for example, to track the dates between epics. So this is specifically for epics. So you are going to the next level to manage your epics. So your epics at this moment, it's not only one big story. Now it's something strategic for your team. So we can track epics here. So we can have at least here a small roadmap with start date, due date. We can just drag and drop the start and date. You can have the dependence, for example, from the REST API to integration with Confluence. This can block, so we can track the dependence from this one, the cadence for this epic. So I can see all the information on this epic from the roadmap perspective. Child issue, it's the stories associated to this epic, the status of this epic, for example, comments, informations. I can share this epic with different users. So the idea is at least to have a roadmap view based on my epics. So if you want to present something for your I don't know, strategic team, strategic level, or some PO, or any specific team, you can show the roadmap of epics. And after that, you can start to go to details of these epics. Okay? So it's not necessary to create or add a new app. It's only create new epics here, and you can start to work with the roadmap. Okay? The start date and due date, this is manually because it's something that you want to show to your users. So it's not get information from the backlog or from the sprint. So basically it's start and due date based on my configuration here, but at least you can show to your strategic team. And I can have today, I can have months, weeks, for example, if you want to show a better explanation here based on your management team or management meeting months and quarters as well. Okay, so this is the great feature of Next-Gen project. So this is the first step to scale Agile using Next-Gen projects. The first one is, okay, let's start with Agile. So let's start with the practice. Let's start with backlog. Let's start with sprints. Let's start with start points or hours. So at least let's get the routine and the culture and the practice of Agile from the Scrum perspective, for example. So the next step is, okay, let's show for our strategic team now specific moments because we are integrated team. We have maturity to estimate these epics based on the stories that we are following and managing. So you can see this information here. Okay, so this is the first step to scale Agile. Okay, let's use more the epics functionalities with roadmap in Next-Gen projects. Okay, but before that, before we are following with the next topics and the next steps, I want to show that we created a guide to scale Agile, even if it's Next-Gen project, if classic project, if you are starting with project, if you are already using projects, we created a guide. So we can help you guys. So we can share and our knowledge on how to use Agile with Atlassian projects. So this is our guideline here. So as you can see, you created a full documentation that you can help you. So you can contact us. You can at least want to have more information from our side, from our experience from these 12 years and from the latest years, how we are using and we are scale Agile. This is all the guide for you guys. So the first step is let's see the situation, the actual situation about how we are using Jira. So the first one is current Jira process. So are you using the best practice of Jira software, backlog, epic stories, sprint, user stories priority, estimates, Kanban board, release management, Agile reports? Are you using the best practice of Jira? If not, you can start with the first step. So let's go Agile first before scale. The next step is, okay, let's start to scale Jira project in a portfolio view. Okay, so the next step is how can scale with Agile and how can scale with Atlassian products as well, right? So our best practice is safe. So safe is the best moment. So probably in the future, we'll talk about safe. We'll talk a lot about safe, create webinars with safe because we have a lot of information to share with you. Have SPCs. I did a course for safe and how we can implement that. So it's perfect because we have experience as well. So here it's the structure that we use to use safe with Jira, getting from the big picture epic, feature, and story, and we are simple translating epic, feature, story to initiative, epic, and story. Okay, so this is our guide, and we have all this step by step to use it on your company. And after that, you have the portfolio level, the program level, and team level. As you can see in the Next-Gen project, you already have the program level and the team level, right? Because you have Epic and you have Story and all the Agile methodology. So this was our first step. Let's use roadmap to have a program level, to have a program view. But the next one, the third phase of Scale Agile, it's going through the initiative. It's going through the portfolio level. Okay, so this is how we can share with you guys the best structure of using Atlassian and Scale this project here. Okay, so this is our guide. So keep in mind that we can share with you this information, and we can bring for you more innovation using Agile, and we created a whole guide based on our customer experience, based on our trainings, course that we did. So of course we need to understand your requirements, but this is perfect. So we have all the documentation here. For example, how we will see, how we need to configure Jira to at least have the information. So we have the initiative, Jira Software project, different products based on Jira Software, Epic, Stories, and we have the teams here working together. So initiative, Epic, and Stories. Okay, so this is our guide. So this is our recommendation here to use it. Okay, so this is the core guide to scale Agile with Atlassian products. Okay, so this is the demonstration. So I'm just showing to you that it's possible to do that. And after this, you have a lot of challenge to scale with different solutions. For example, portfolio solutions, big picture, structure. And the next step is, okay, let's expand with custom reports. So as you can see here on our initial assessment, we created 3 different phases. The first one is, okay, let's see the current Jira software process. Let's scale in a portfolio view using different apps. Portfolio for Jira, structure, or big picture, and etc. But the third phase, it's crucial if you want to bring more innovation to your company, to bring more reports, more strategic themes and information from your company using advanced reports. So keep in mind that we can help you on these 3 main solutions here. Okay, so this is the main information about how we can scale it and extending Jira with apps. So this is just suggestions for you. Like I said, to start a new level, so the third level of your company, after the Next-Gen project, we can start to use the classic projects, because Next-Gen projects will not support the third level of your Scale Agile with initiatives, with themes, with a different program increment, objectives, and etc. Because we are going to another level, and it's very important that we are going safe. So we are going agile, and now we are going safe if you want to scale. And for this, we need portfolio for Jira, or big picture, or even structure for you. Okay, so agile roadmap management, project management using Gantt vision, and structure, it's more from Excel table-like model. So we have different formats. So portfolio is more from the timeline, how we can use Jira to show to you this information. Big picture is more from a Gantt chart, more a traditional view, but with an agile perspective. And structure, it's more an Excel table, like to at least see the information based on your company. And here we have some examples, quickly examples that I can show to you guys. With structure, for example, I can show to you one specific example of structure that we have, for example, classic projects with initiative, epic, and stories. So I can track, for example, the next level and at least the status, the story points, if you have a due date or not, the sprints that the stories and the epics and the initiatives it's using and joining. So I can have like I said, an Excel table view here on your perspective. And from the portfolio perspective, and as you can see here, it's all the information of Jira and all the information from your project. And from the portfolio project and portfolio app, I can see a similar information, but with a timeline as well. So I can see, for example, here based on initiative, when I will start this initiative based on my first story, and when I will finish this initiative based on my latest story. So the first story from the first sprint and the last story from the last sprint. So this is how Jira Portfolio will manage automatically this timeline, and they will manage to see if you need more support, you need more sprints, you need more velocity. So Portfolio for Jira, it's a great tool to scale better your project. And structure, it's good at least to have the architecture view about your project. But our first option is Portfolio for Jira, because here it's very similar from structure, and we have the timeline as well. So I can see by epic as well, and I can see by story as well, based on the sprints here. Okay, so this is just an example of project, and as you can see, we are not using the same project. We are using product development, and here to use Portfolio for Jira or structure, we need to use the classic project. Like I said, it's Next.Gen is not super to use it. The third level of portfolio level, so we need to use Portfolio for Jira or structure in a classic mode. Okay, so this is all the experience that we have. Like I said, if you want to extend the reports and you want to bring more functionality, we can use EasyBI. And we have two options here, Planning Poker and Automation for Jira. So Planning Poker, it's perfect because you can integrate your team to plan the project and plan the estimates of your stories directly in Jira. And Automation for Jira, you can create some automations based on your stories, epics, initiatives, so you can create a whole environment, an automation environment to help your teams to provide a better status and situation of your company. Okay, this is the demonstration that I did with you guys. The fact that we have portfolio and different options, this will not affect your agile perspective. So you can continue with your agile methodology and aspects, but the next level will be important to define which solution we can follow and we can use it. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. I know I talked a lot about Next.Gen projects, how can use it, how can scale the next level with roadmap, how can start the third level with the portfolio view using classic project and different apps from the marketplace. So keep in mind that we can use next project until one specific process of your agile perspective. So you can start agile with Next.Gen project. You can scale to a program view using epics and using roadmap from your Next.Gen project. But if you want to go to a portfolio view, the third level, connecting your executive team with your strategic team, with your tactical and operational team, we need to start to think to move to classic and different apps as well. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. I know we have just a few minutes to Q&A session, but I'm really excited to answer some questions from your side if you have it. So let me check here. I can select a few ones, and let's see how I can help you on this information here. So we have one here. Is there any benefits to migrate from data center to cloud? Yes. If you want to, for example, your team, it's not managing your instance, and it's not necessary to dedicate a team for management your current instance from your server, and we don't have any compliance to move to cloud. Move from data center to cloud is perfect. You'll see some difference because it's a different interface, it's a different view, but at least you can keep on the data center of Atlassian. It's not necessary to manage your infrastructure, your hardware, and you can have the same functionality. So we can help you on this migration, like I said, but you need to think from your perspective, from your business. So can we move? Do you have any compliance to keep in cloud? And do you want to manage any servers, or do you want to move to cloud? So this is the first questions that you can have it. But I really recommend to move to cloud, at least to have these functionalities and be safe to at least scale and to have the better infrastructure from Atlassian as well. Okay. Let's see. It's possible to connect AD LDAP to cloud instance. This is a great question because since we are Atlassian is managing the cloud instance, we don't have any specific functionalities from server, because this can affect the performance of the instance, and this can affect the cloud of Atlassian. So AD LDAP is one of these cases. So it's not possible to integrate AD LDAP in cloud, but it's possible to integrate your identity provider, for example, Okta, OneLogin, Azure AD, Microsoft ADFS. So you can connect the identity provider with Jira using the Atlassian Access. So the Atlassian Access is the feature that you can use in Jira. And in your identity provider, you can connect, for example, your AD and LDAP, and you can bring from identity provider to Jira your user. So you can have the user provisioning using your identity provider with Atlassian Access. So this is the best option that you can have it for using AD and LDAP. Okay. And the latest one, just to close our webinar here, how can I move a next-gen project to the classic project? So this is a great and important question, actually, because it's not possible to change the project type just with one click. So you need to migrate all the data. So you need to move all your issues. You need to create all your content and at least your custom fields, your structure in classic project. And after that, you need to move manually in a bulk move from next-gen to classic. Okay, and for example, if you want to move from cloud server or cloud to data center, it's not possible to move next-gen project. So you need, for example, to move all the next-gen projects to a classic project, and after that, start the migration. So we have some important items that you need to cover during these migrations, and just be careful about the migration from next-gen to classic, and classic to next-gen, for example, or migrating from deployment offer to deployment offer as well. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. Thank you for your attention. It was a great webinar, but it's a pleasure to always share some knowledge with you. And thank you for your attention. And I'm free to answer some questions if you have it by email. So thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.